Hi, and welcome to the Esther Foundation's Healing Cafe, a series in which we interview a number of interesting guests about their unique experiences with mental health. My name is Abigail Langer, and today our guest joining us will be Paul Kim. Thank you so much for joining us today, Paul.
Thank you so much for having me here, and it's a privilege and an honor to be a part of the Esther Foundation's Healing Cafe.
Awesome, thank you so much. That really means a lot to us. So to start off, would you like to introduce yourself for our audience?
Sure. Hi, my name is Paul Kim. I've been with the Esther Foundation ever since back in 2017, I guess. And it's been a long and incredible journey, but I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
So my first question today is going to be, Paul, what issue specifically did you first seek counseling for?
I guess one of the reasons why I sought out counseling was because there was a point in my life where I was struggling with who I was. I had a lot of anger issues, and things were just not in a really good place for me at that time, and it kind of stems back to my childhood experiences and everything. So my anger, or I had uncontrollable rage, which was really harmful for me, and it caused a lot of hardships with my family members as well. So that was a very hard, specific time. But then it all actually started from when I was 9. I was in South Korea, and I got into a really big car accident. I got hit by a car. I flew like 16 feet.
Oh my god.
I was in a coma for like 40 days. I had 2 brain operations in South Korea. My skull melted on both sides. So that was the 2 surgeries I had done in Korea, and then I couldn't breathe, so I had to get a tracheotomy right here. And then I bled on the right side of my brain, so my left side is significantly weaker than my right. And then I also broke my left femur.
Oh my god. Femur is very difficult to heal, right?
Yeah, and it's also very difficult to break. Yeah. But so that was, I guess that's where all of my trauma and everything started, from the car accident, I guess.
So how did it feel dealing with all these issues surrounding your accident before you had received any counseling?
I never got counseling until I was like around 26, 27 years old. And I guess, from the accident when I was 9, it's like 17 years. I've just learned to deal with my mental and emotional pain, as well as the physical. And I'm still, till this day, I'm still rehabilitating and recovering from my physical weaknesses from the accident. But more than anything, for me, I am so beyond grateful to be alive when clearly I could have been dead.
Absolutely.
And I guess, it was just coming up with that small little, change in mentality that actually gave me the positivity and the strength to deal with, life's obstacles.
Just to kind of reiterate, before you had that small change, that opportunity to change your perspective, you were dealing with a lot of anger, right?
Yeah, I didn't know that anger was a sign of depression until, I came here and I got counseling, and then I also participated in one of the Esther Foundation's programs with, I think it's the mental health training.
Mental health first aid?
Yeah, mental health first aid. And then I remember they were teaching about how, anger and rage is one of the emotions for, depression. And then, that actually clicked the trigger into, my thinking, and I was like, oh wow, I've been I've been suffering from depression for so long, and it made me realize that from the accident is probably what caused my emotional anger issues and depression.
Absolutely, and especially in a case like yours, something that we think is very important is to recognize, emotional health as well as physical health. And you were in a very unique situation where there was a lot of focus on your physical health.
So one of my personal experiences when I, sought to seek help was when I actually tried to commit suicide. Yeah, I remember. I was just feeling horrible. I was hopeless. I felt helpless. I felt worthless, and I drank a little too much alcohol that day, which I shouldn't have. But regardless, and I actually tried to jump off the balcony. Yeah, and then I remember I tried to jump off, but then I slipped, and I thankfully I fell backwards instead of forwards. But looking back at it now, it was only the third floor, so I probably wouldn't have died. So I'm just that's when I thought, wow, I really need to get some help.
Absolutely, and if I may ask, how did your loved ones react after this happened?
They don't know about it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
No one knows. No one knows that I tried to commit suicide except me and then few people, most people from support group and.
So why is it that this is something that you felt more comfortable keeping to yourself?
Well, I never actually really processed it, but then looking back at it now, I never really shared it with them because it's probably gonna hurt them more than it's gonna help them knowing that I tried to do something like that. So the only thing that I knew was that I needed some help, and I knew that if I got some help and I could get better, then I guess maybe we can try and work our issues out, work our problems out, and then maybe we can finally be at peace.
So and maybe in talking about other experiences that you've had, on top of this really scary wake-up call, it sounded like for you. In the experiences you did have with your family, you mentioned some poor communication and some anger. Do you have a different example of maybe a communication problem you had that also may have helped you seek counseling?
So, Korean is not my first language, it's my second language, and then my parents don't speak English that well either, so it was really hard for us to get in the root of our communication when I didn't really know how to communicate either, because the only emotion that I had was of course I felt sadness, I felt joy at sometimes, but then my main expressive emotion was anger and rage. So trying to communicate any kind of emotion, it all started with the foundation of anger and rage. So my parents didn't want to listen to me when I'm speaking like in a very angry tone of voice. I didn't really know how to express any other emotion. Obviously growing up I was pretty happy, or I thought I was happy, but probably used some smiling and happiness as a mask to hide my true emotions and feelings. But one of the great things that I learned from the Esther Foundation was to be able to learn how to communicate my emotions in a healthy manner.
For our next question, I would like to ask, what experiences of progress would you like to share?
So my progress was very unique in that there was a point in my life where I kept suffering. And then I guess it was through the foundation where I kind of did volunteer a lot as well. And while I was volunteering and trying to take care of other people, I realized and I learned how to take care of myself and also to be able to learn how to love myself as well. So that was one of my progresses, and then my progress was it was always from suffering. And then I was like, why am I suffering when you don't need to suffer? You deserve to live.
Absolutely. And so, like, that first time that you participated in a program or you were in a counseling setting, that first time, what did it feel like experiencing this whole different way to communicate?
Oh my God, I still remember my first group experience, and then also my first healing camp experience. It was I have a very unique story and a very unique experience, and then somehow I was never really afraid to share my story or express what I've been through or what I've gone through. But it was just great to be able to be heard, and also to know that I have loving, supporting people around me that's cheering me and supporting me.
So something you mentioned that you struggled with, that a lot of people involved with the foundation and across our country, deal with being second generation, is a language barrier with your parents. So how did you navigate that language barrier when learning to improve your communication with them?
I mean, I still have communication issues with my parents now. Probably because my parents don't know how to communicate their emotions or their concerns in a healthy manner or in a respectful manner that that their child would like the manner to be told in. But I guess I've learned that my parents are my parents, and I won't be able to change who they are. But one thing that I have learned is I have learned to empathize with my parents, and I know that even though they can't communicate efficiently, that they have the right intent and a loving and caring core.
What are some practical tips that you've learned in order to manage things like anger, and you mentioned cognitive distortions especially?
I would say the very first step that I would do if I was in someone else's shoes dealing with anger or cognitive distortions is take a very, very deep breath and then think very thoroughly before you make any kind of decisions or actions. Because there are going to be consequences when you do act out of your emotions. Especially with me, when my emotions were from rage and anger, it did not go well.
Well, Paul, thank you so much for coming on today and being brave enough to share your story and your experiences, and helping others who are watching at home who will be dealing with the same things. So thank you so much for having that courage.
No, of course. I've gotten so much from this foundation, from counseling, from life itself, that I want to pay it forward. And this is a small portion of me paying it forward, and to a healthier and brighter future.
Thank you again for joining us at the Esther Ha Foundation's Healing Cafe. For more mental health resources, please check the links below in the description. Please also like, share, and subscribe. And as always, with the Esther Ha Foundation, you are not alone. Thank you again.
Awesome.
So with the Esther Ha Foundation, you are never alone.
Fabulous.